trend, so I put all my college savings into Ethereum during the pre-sale, and I worked at Oculus while it was still sort of not acquired by Facebook. And I worked at OpenAI in 2016 when they were first getting started for about a year. And I also was an early engineer at this company called Scale AI, which is now worth $7.5 billion or something. And so...
What have you bought recently?
Like what have I invested in personally?
Prosper.
Prosper, that's right, yeah. Pretty much all my money. So yeah, about 3 or 4 years ago, I had a bit of a crazy situation where I did something very stupid and ended up actually going to federal prison in the United States, which is why I'm here in London. I was actually deported from the United States. So, hello.
All the best people.
And while I was in prison, I was just sort of reflecting on, what I wanted my life to be about and what I wanted to work on. And I sort of felt like nobody had really started working on robotics in a way that actually made sense, at least to me. And so after moving to London, I decided to start a small company. We're called Prosper. We have some of our rest of the team in the audience, actually. And so we make robot butlers. This is what they look like. There's actually one back there that you can see. So this is still an early prototype. Our design philosophy is, we call it pragmatic humanism. So that means you want to work on product in a way that actually makes sense as a product. So most robots don't make sense in the home because they're just way too expensive. It's probably really hard to get robots to initially be fully autonomous in unstructured environments. Modern AI generally requires large data sets to actually make sense. And so probably the initial version will need to be semi-autonomous, and then that has all kinds of privacy concerns that you kind of have to think about from a product perspective. And so we're really working on it in a way which we think actually makes sense on a product timeline versus sort of like a science project, which is maybe how you might look at some other robotics efforts. And humanism sort of means we want to be in service of human values. So that means at the end of the day, we care about making our customers' lives better. So you have a robot in your home, and it cooks for you. It helps you stick to your routine. It helps you be healthy. Maybe adds a few moments of joy to your life. So I'll show you some videos of our current prototype. So these are from around a year ago. So here's a video of it cleaning my dining table. So you can see it's sort of rinsing the dishes and putting them away in the dishwasher.
No way.
So to keep in mind, this video is not fully autonomous. So it's somebody's on the other side where some of the time they're basically controlling the robot through a VR headset and getting it to do some of these actions. And in the production version of this, you'll be able to actually know when there's a person doing that. And then it'll be anonymized also, so all faces and text are going to be blurred out, and there'll be privacy mode and things like that to make it hopefully feel comfortable having a person on the other side. And also most of the time you probably won't be around when this thing is working for you, so hopefully you won't be too bothered by doing stuff for you. So we wanted to cook for you, we wanted to help in the kitchen. So some people really like to cook, so maybe instead of actually doing the cooking for you, you might want Alfie to just prepare the ingredients and clean up after. Or if you wanted to cook for you, it's the production version where we're aiming to have it be able to cook a wide range of things. This version is not food safe, so here's another video. So Cooking and cleaning are probably the two big things that people want in their homes, but one interesting thing about getting technology to do things in people's lives is there's all these smaller things that you probably don't really think about that, when you have a product like a robot in your home, start to really add up. And it's quite interesting to look back at the history of computers and cell phones. Here's a video of like Steve Wozniak talking about.
Well,
One second. Here's a video of Steve Wozniak talking about what he thought the use cases for personal computers in the home were going to be. Oh, jeez.
little automation, all those little circuits that are becoming, part of our lives. There used to be a lot of 1984 type talk in the early days.
I think we're going to finally discover that our lives in the home environment, that microcomputers really don't have a very strong place in the home, that the market will probably not be any greater percentage than the number of homes that used typewriters, which might have been 10%, might have been that low. I mean, we might have almost saturated that market of people that are going to buy microcomputers for their home. We might have. I don't know. They might not have good enough machines yet. They might buy higher quality replacement machines. I think pretty much the uses have been identified to where sometimes people will keep lists of things, record collections, friends. Not a huge factor in improving their life. Telecommunications has not yet been, it's come to a lot of angles that just really didn't live up to their promises as to how they could help people in the home. Almost every feature of the Source, for example, doesn't really do very much compared to the alternatives that existed before. You can buy stuff through the Source, but a full page catalog with graphics and all that, it's a much better way to buy stuff. And much less expensive, much better use of resources. There are a few things like home banking, where you can do your banking right at home quickly, and it saves you having to write a check. It can be quicker and save you a little time, and that might be worth it. You can send mail even instantly almost through the normal mail, but if you want to pay $2 for a first-class letter, to save the convenience of having to address an envelope yourself or something. There are so few. I think that, I think the big uses that are really going to pay for themselves are going to be in the home are going to be for hackers who get a lot of entertainment value out of it, in the schools and in the business, for different reasons.
So it's really interesting because I think when you think of technology, you think, what are the things or at least the first thing that comes to mind, what are the things you're already doing that this technology could help you with? And what often I think ends up happening is there's all these new use cases that were basically previously not possible that, now that this thing is cheap and easy to use, now become possible. And so there's probably a lot of exciting things like that with home robots. For example, for me personally, one thing that I think would make a big difference would be if every morning when I wake up, there's a pre-mixed athletic greens shake on the table and my workout clothes laid out. I think that probably changed the percentage of times I work out by, 2x or something. And even though it's such a small amount of time, the influence it can have on your life, I think, can be quite high. So, and I'm sure everybody will sort of have their own unique little things like that, which is fun. And we want the product to be able to support kind of all these things. So imagine you have an app where you kind of configure the robot and you have a schedule and you can sort of see what other people have done, so you don't have to think of everything yourself, and then maybe suggest ideas for these routines that it does. It's almost like one analogy that's interesting is like the dwarves in Snow White. They kind of blend into the background and they do all these little things for you, and you don't have to think. You only have to think about it when you want to do something new. You don't have to think about it every single time, and that sort of allows you to add up sort of layers in your life almost. So this is what some sketches look like for our production version. We're currently working very hard on basically making this a real product. So it's still a prototype. There's all kinds of things we need to fix. It needs to be faster, it needs to be safer, it needs to be food safe and hygienic, and we want it to be sort of an iconic character. We're actually working with a relatively prominent character designer to design the next version of Alfie, who previously worked at Pixar and Disney for 10 to 20 years. And so these are some of his sketches. His name is Buck. I think we're on sketch number 550 or something. You can see the little number down there. And the idea here is we're not trying to build a robot that looks like a human. So that's very explicit in sort of the design. We're explicitly trying to design robots that act in service of people, not as replacements of people. We don't want them to be creepy. We want them to we want people to be able to have a comfortable relationship with them. So that means we might, for example, there's a button panel on the back of the robot. We might put a little thank you button back there, where if you liked something that Alfie did, you can just press that thank you button and sort of encourage people to have a relationship with this thing where it's not just an object and you're not learning to dehumanize entities or whatever. They're doing things for you. It's an interesting anecdote from Japan at some point where there was a mild moral panic around Alexa's supposedly making children very impolite because you never really had to say please or thank you to them. So sort of in a similar vein.
Cool.
And yeah, if you're interested in joining our pilot program, we're based in London, and we're signing people up. You can just email us, and the initial version we would put into people's homes probably is going to be able to cook and clean, and we'll probably add more small use cases over time based on the people in the pilot program. So yeah, thanks.